All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode, Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. Today, I have a friend and someone who I've been using their software and been blown away with it. Amol, you are the founder of Patient Prism, right?
Yes, sir.
Not co-founder, but founder, right?
Well, co-founder. I mean,
Okay, you have a co-founder.
He's
I was
Amal,
making
he's
a
trying to take
joke.
a dig. He's trying to take
I
a
was
dig at
making
me
a
because
joke. Craig doesn't like it.
Peter loves to
when I
tell me
flex that.
he flexes that on me.
Well, we did a presentation for AACD recently, and Craig put on a slide that he was invited, as his list of credentials. He was invited by AACD, and then on my part of the slide, he said was invited by Craig to help speak at AACD.
Yeah, I actually asked them, can I bring Peter along? That's never going to get old. We've talked about this like
It's never going to get old. So I have to flex and be like, well, as the founder.
So Amal, you are the co-founder, not the founder?
That is correct. I'm the CEO.
Better together.
And I'm the co-founder. Had incredible help with an incredible team.
So Amal, I was exposed to your software a while back, and honestly, in full disclosure, I looked at it and I was like, okay, cool, but I think we're buttoned up there, and like a lot of things got busy again, and then got reintroduced by our mutual friend Matt, and kind of looked at the platform. And what was the eye-opening thing for me was the fact that now you have incorporated AI and things like that, right? Because I always thought call monitoring was just ridiculous. People would be like, well, you monitoring your calls and you're doing call monitoring. I just thought it was always ridiculous. So I was like, so you mean I have to pay someone to listen to the phone call that someone already did and humanly audit it? If that's something, I was like, that makes no sense. So I have to pay two people's salaries for one conversation only to denote what happened on the call. It just seemed highly inefficient to me. So when I saw kind of your new platform, the new tech that you've involved in your new platform, it was like literally you went through it with me and my jaw was on the ground. And I see a lot of stuff in dentistry, quite honestly. And I really wanted to get this implemented into my practice, meaning because I had speculation that marketing was not the issue in a certain downturn that we had a little downturn. I was like, I don't think it's marketing because I'm looking at my impressions, I'm looking at the conversions, I'm looking at all these things, and I don't think it's marketing. And I always just assumed that my phones and everything, we were answering all the phone calls first ring, and we were super buttoned up with our verbiage and all the things. But I was like, I wanted to get some confirmation, and boy, was your software eye-opening. Craig, you've just now getting it implemented in your practice as well, right? So I know you don't have enough data yet.
Yeah, I have no idea. All I know enough to be prepared for the podcast. I know, Amal, you're a friend of a friend, and you have software that listens to calls and uses AI. Is that about right?
That's it, sir. That's it.
Okay,
We can drop the mic.
Pod's over. Good job, Craig. Good job.
But Peter and I always say, like, the most important, like, listen, recording the calls and actually deciphering them is two different things. I have a security camera system at my office, but like, I don't want to go through the last 5,000 hours to try to find something. I mean, the data is useless.
Very good metaphor.
Intuitive.
Yeah. So what was the emphasis? What was the emphasis for converting of that? Did you just see an opportunity to convert into more of an AI tech platform, or what?
It's very interesting. When we got started 7 years ago, I'm a CPA by trade. I ran a CPA firm in the healthcare dental space for 15 years, and I was getting bored of accounting. And I thought to myself, what should I do next? What should be my next gig in professional services? And I thought marketing would be good because I was really good at growing businesses. And I started a marketing agency at the time called Dentist Profit Systems. I didn't want to deal with accountants. I wanted to talk to dentists because dentists were some of my closest friends. And I'm like, all right, well, these guys will give me a shot and they'll help me attract new patients to their practices. So I went to these dental offices at the time and said, hey, what kind of patients would you like to see? I'm not going to give you any of the jargon. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do SEO for you and all this stuff. I'm going to just ask you, what type of patients would you like to see more of? And they told me, I'm like, hey, I did 7 starts Invisalign last. I would like to do double, 14 a month. Somebody said I placed 10 implants last month. I'd like to do 20. And say, all right, well, we're going to spearfish these patients for you and drive them into your office. During that process, what we realized as we decided at some point, about a year and a half into the mix, we were doing really well in the beginning. Then our clients started complaining that, hey, marketing is not working. So we deployed those human beings at our marketing agency level and said, let's listen to these phone calls. And eventually I had a team of 12 people listening to phone calls. It was highly inefficient, right? But we did find out that the problem was not marketing. The problem was that the calls were not being converted to scheduled appointments for a variety of reasons. Part of it was training, part of it was other things. And so in my mind, I asked my co-founder at the time that, hey, this is very inefficient. Could we teach Alexa how to understand dentistry? And this was like just when Alexa was launched, right? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, we can. And that's what started the journey. Is we wanted to teach a machine how to do what humans do in an accurate way, but in a very fast way too. So that, what's the point of knowing something a week later or a month later, right? You can't do anything about it. The use case of AI was, okay, well, we have this technology called natural language processing, which powers all the assistants we have, Siri, Alexa, all this stuff, right? It was based on natural language processing teaches machines how to understand human language. So if we deploy that, and imagine if that machine could listen to the phone call and then provide feedback to the office that, hey, they missed an opportunity. And if we can do that quickly, and that will allow these offices to basically re-engage with the patient and bring them back in. And it was a novel and radical idea at the time. Now everybody talks about GPT and what can GPT give me. But at the time, it was very novel. It's like, wow, we're going to recover an opportunity we just lost. That's where its Patient Prism idea started. It was an internal project that eventually, when the USPTO issued us patents, we realized that we were innovative and we created a business out of it.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
What year was this, by the way? I'm sorry.
So I think 2016, where we really got the first beta out.
So let me go through like a list of what I think the features would be. And I'm sorry if this sounds all wrong, but you can use the AI to identify which person's speaking, I would imagine, correct?
Correct.
So it's Sally versus Diane.
Right.
And then what language does it like? Because what would be most important to me is language that doesn't lead to an appointment. Great marketing. And at the end of the day, they fault and fire the marketer because they say, I spent $20,000 with you guys and we got no new patients from it. And unfortunately, marketing is collateral damage because if you do a poor job, either A, answering the phone, or B, enrolling your patients, it's still your marketing company's fault.
Correct.
So you can get an amazing person on the phone and that patient stands in front of you and you blow it. And now somehow the marketing company is not working. So what are the things that you learned that you put into the platform so that we don't have to listen to every call? Like, what are the things you look for?
Well, there's a couple of things we look for. One of the big areas is, how did the agent perform, right? Agent or the receptionist perform.
Sure.
So over the course of 12 million phone calls, over the first 3 years, we developed a set of variables that would determine the probability of a patient booking an appointment. And we went through about 25, 30 different variables. We finally finalized on 14. And those 14 variables are, I'll give you some examples. Were you actively listening? Did you ask the patient about discomfort? Did you mention financing? Did you offer an appointment? Did you offer financing if they didn't have insurance? So we looked at these 14 variables. We tested them across at least 2.5 million calls to understand that where in the conversation was the patient stopping, so that we can train the team member to tell them that, hey, Mary at the front desk, every time a patient calls with no insurance, about 50% of the time, you don't even give them information about care credit, for example, right? So that was one part of it, is understanding and giving feedback to the agent or the receptionist on those 14 variables. that were statistically significant in predicting and booking a patient, right? So
Mhm.
that was one part. The other part we realized, as you said earlier, that sometimes you blame marketing, sometimes you blame the receptionist, but sometimes you don't have to blame either one of them. Sometimes it's not the fault of marketing. Sometimes it's not even fault of receptionist. Sometimes it's your own operations that's at fault. And what that means is today, if I were to look at the last 12 months, 33% of patients, new patients, were not able to schedule an appointment at a dental office because there was no room in the
No
schedule.
capacity. Yes.
Right? So whose fault is not the marketing fault? It's not Judy's fault who answered the phone. It's your fault because you don't have your schedule optimized, or you just don't have enough providers. I mean, whatever that could be. So we also look at every not booked appointment from the standpoint of, yes, the receptionist, what they could have done, but was it an operational issue? Which means, was it capacity? Was it insurance? Was it service not available? Was it price? And was it still considering?
And you
So
have a slide, Amol, that we were kind of looking before I hit record that kind of goes over that, right? You're calling that the blockages of scheduling. And I'll let you kind of, this is a visual pod. So we put this on YouTube. So if you want to throw that slide up, we can record into it. Craig, I think it's a good thing to show, like you said, is the data over millions of calls. Where does the breakdown of, where does the blockage occur in all these things?
Also, directionally, I want to know what does patient prism look at? So are you looking at, and I'm sorry for my not knowing the product better, but does it look just at the call, or does it also plug into the practice management system and have data that goes back and forth?
not yet. No, it doesn't plug into PMS yet, but it's coming in third quarter. We want to complete the whole loop.
Third quarter of which year? Because I know I'm talking to a serial entrepreneur. That's a very important question.
That is a very
It's
good
like
question.
coming before Christmas. We just don't know which Christmas.
The third quarter
every-
of 2023.
Every
All right.
software company, when's it coming? Funny enough, it's coming next quarter.
It is true. It is true. Well, I will tell you why it's coming next quarter, because our largest clients are forcing our hand. So we have no choice.
I mean, imagine, like, then you could query on what calls lead
Totally.
to the highest amount of dollars. So
100%.
the AI could learn that when these words are mentioned, more dollars, because all you have is a binary equation of a booked, not booked.
Right.
Now you have so many more layers of data points
Right.
to enter.
So this is one of the layers, right? Reasons not booked. What was it? Is it scheduling, price, insurance, still considering? Sometimes there's language barrier in this. And we can even dig deeper into this stuff. Like with insurance, you could dig deeper into saying what type of insurance was a problem. So you could say, oh, let me look at all my insurances and what percentage of Blue Cross patients did not schedule. Well, 50%.
So for those of you not able to see this and listening to the pod in your car or wherever, basically what this slide is saying, it's a customer journey blockages. And so Amol, again, with the data, it's saying the reasons not booked, 40% of it is due to scheduling, 14% are still considering, not ready to book yet, 16% was attributed to insurance issues, and 30% was attributed to price. So,
right. And then you get to see if you have, for example, if you have multiple locations, now you get to see this data in real time. I'm like, okay, well, the Tampa office here, we have a slide that shows you 7 different locations. The Tampa office in the last month was not able to schedule 59 new patients because they didn't have room on the schedule.
mm-hmm.
So the number one thing you go back and say, and by the way, they also had 16 patients who hung up on hold, new patients who hung up on hold while talking to our receptionist. So the problem is not marketing. The problem is not our people. The problem is that we just don't have room. And the first thing to do is stop all marketing spend in Tampa. So just stop it until we figure out how to get more patients scheduled.
And by the way, Amol, I just want to interrupt for a second. There's a lot of dentists that are listening to this right now that are actually looking to start spending. We've had those in the mastermind that are like, I want to drive more new patients. You know, my new patients are going down. I want to call a marketing company. I want to do all this stuff. And when you look at when is your first available appointment for a new patient,
6
and
weeks.
it's oftentimes 6 months or 7 months, you're actually spending tons of money to piss more people off. So imagine a
100%.
really well-crafted advertising campaign that gets you to call today, and
Yeah.
you can't deliver on your promise for 6 months. I have a front tooth that broke. Great. We'll see you in August. That doesn't work.
Yeah, here's a great segue into one of our reports here. It's days booked out and cancellations. And you see that little thing called average lead. There's in one of our reports, you see this schedule statistic. This is your days booked out. So the Tampa office not only can schedule, the correlation is that they're booking their new patients 112 days out. Right. So again, it confirms that if you're booking 112 days out, right, you need to either hire more doctors, more hygienists. You need to maybe add more chairs. It's not easy. Easier said than done, right? It's harder to hire a hygienist than probably God knows any other profession right now. You can't hire anybody. Maybe you need to optimize your schedule. Maybe if you have multiple locations within a single mile radius, maybe you need to book them somewhere else. There's lots of things that could come out of this, but absolutely, marketing is the conversation. Like, no, it's not a marketing problem. Let me save that money. Let me hire more people. Let me see if I can do, maybe assisted hygiene and maybe see more patients and get them in the chair first. Those are the conversations we have with our clients, because if you don't translate the data into operational insights and give them action-oriented steps to do, all it is just nonsense data. And that's not where the evolution of analytics should be, in my view, in dentistry. It needs to be super actionable.
Craig, why I like this is because typically Amol's clients have been kind of from the DSO industries and big groups, right? And so Craig and I are kind of on this mission, like, how do we level the playing field for the independent operators, keeping dentistry cottage as much as possible?
Yes.
It's a beautiful industry. And in order to do that, in my opinion, you have to use the same tools in the fight. And so this is a next level data. This is strategic information that helps you forecast, prognosticate which locations to open, cut down the phones, cut down the marketing. This is how business people run their, this is a higher level business operation. And so I love this and delivering this to creating awareness for the people who listen to this pod, because I think, if you're going to a gunfight, don't bring a knife.
Yeah, at a certain point, there's certain things we just can't compete on.
Understand.
Or at least not yet. But these are the tools
things like that.
Yeah, but these are tools that if they have this, we have to have it. So, what just as a small segue, Amol, what percentage of your business, total dollars generated to your business comes from DSO or multi-location versus single location private?
Oh, wow.
95 is DSO.
Yeah. So that's what I thought you'd say. So, yeah. So, but if we look at number of dentists practicing, most are not affiliated with a DSO. Most are still not affiliated. So this is just tools. It's like we're fighting a war, as Pete said.
Great.
Some have Patriot missiles and we have slingshots. So I appreciate the fact that you here taking us with our sticks and stones like the Aboriginal tribe of South America and giving us some Patriot missiles to come back with. So keep going.
It's interesting that some DSO, single practice, independent practices are providing exceptional dental care to patients nationwide. And I think that despite the consolidation, in my view, there will be always a room for independent practices to thrive. But you're right, they need to use the tools to kind of get them smarter about, hey, if I'm busy, am I the right kind of busy, right? I talk to many doctors across the board and say, "Oh man, I'm so booked out. I'm so busy. I have no time for patient prism." And in one of our slides I'm showing here right now, it's called leveraging micrometrics, which means if you're busy, are you the right kind of busy? So people say, "Oh, you know what? My conversion rate on the phone is very high, 85%. Well, with using patient prism, you can understand that, okay, you schedule 94% of your hygiene appointments. But when it comes to orthodontic, it's only 44% of my patients are able to come in. But now that means that I don't have any way to triage my revenue. I am saying that a hygiene patient can come in and do a prophy and I can get paid $74, but somebody who wants to pay $5,000 on Invisalign, they have to wait 4 months. How ineffective is that? And that's what I mean by when you dig deeper into metrics and understand, like, oh, okay, well, this is the problem. So where do I do that? Do I create a new column, a third column or a fourth column, and I put these big high value cases there and figure it out when they come in, or what do I do, right? And that's the point of data right now that I love, and that's why the DSOs have loved us, because we're giving them insight into things that don't require them to spend more money. It gives them more value for what they're spending, and then it gives them a clear pathway to understanding, okay, if I spend this much, then I can get this much. And that's where we want to take the industry to, is that, you know what, dentistry is still amazing, right? We still have 50% of Americans that haven't seen a dentist, right? And the market's huge. The market's huge. And we have, and obviously Clear Choice 20 years ago started this trend that we could go directly to the patient and get the customer. And more dollars are being spent on marketing today in driving new patients than ever before in the history of dentistry. So we better make sure that all these dollars that are being spent, Google raised their ad prices by 40% last year. And Google is 85% responsible for new patients in dentistry. So let's make sure that we're not wasting all this money on marketing by not converting them, or by having
Amol,
Yes.
Amol, I'm sorry. Google is responsible for blank percentage of new patients in dentistry. What was the percentage you said?
But 85% of new patients coming from online sources.
Got it.
And it's a big number. I'm going to stop sharing because I think, see, here we go.
And I just want to take up a moment, because look, I think I'm a champion for dentistry, and I don't believe I'm not an anti DSO person. And in fact, we just got off of a call with a mastermind. And when I meet different associates, the ones who have come from the DSOs, especially the large ones, like the top 10 ones, those guys understand their metrics. Those guys and gals, they understand their numbers. They're trained. I would go so far to say the average dentist in a DSO is significantly better than the average free dentist that's in his own ecosystem and not a part of a DSO. The DSOs do things in a way that's shaping in a positive side many aspects of our profession. And what I'm looking at is they care about this stuff, because there are C-suite executives saying, why in Tampa location 7, we have a 17% blank, and Tampa location 9, we have a 28%. And the demographics are better when, as you talk to a private dentist, they will report that 99% of patients that call make an appointment.
Right.
100% of the things you recommend to them get accepted, and 100% of things get paid. And when you peel back and you start looking at the numbers, we realize they're completely wrong. So data is important here.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's gut's usually the wrong indication.
That's what we do as dentists.
And we just say, all right, my gut says we're busy, right?
My gut says, right? That got me in trouble.
These guys and gals are doing dentistry full time, 40 hours a week. It's 5:30. Your team's gone home. Are you really going to start looking at what percentage of your calls are converting? I mean, no, you're exhausted, and you have to do your post-operative calls and manage your lab cases. How can you do it all?
You're absolutely right. And I think an important element of this is we've got to think about, and a lot of my larger clients and in these emerging groups, one of the things they're doing, I mean, they're doing lots of fantastic things, and I appreciate you saying great things about the industry, because it is driving more patients into the world of dentistry. It's attracting more people to come in and see dentists. And many of them, most of them, are wonderful guys that are really trying to figure out how to optimize the patient journey. You know, where does it start, right? It starts when a patient has a need. They're in their car, they have a toothache, or they have whatever that might be, and they want to, they just got divorced, they want to start their life again, and they want to get their teeth straightened, whatever that need might be. And as long as we are cognizant of that patient journey, okay, well, if they have a need, and if they type in dentist to fix my teeth or straighten my teeth, you have to show up. If you don't show up, then you don't even get that lead. Let's say when they show up, when they see your ad or your website, they have to like it, and then if they like it, they have to call you, and when they call you, they have to convert, then they have to show up. Then they have to go through the exam and they have to see what everybody's telling them. They have to accept treatment. Then they have to reappoint. All that stuff. And one things that I've seen done well in the DSO world is figuring out at what point in the funnel or the journey does the patient drop off, and come up with KPIs in those drop offs. Like, where are they dropping off?
What do you mean? For example,
are they dropping off at the point of case acceptance? That's a big drop. We already know that. Are they dropping off that, for example, in the marketing world, you got from Google ad on your Invisalign ad campaign, you got 200 impressions, right? 200 clicks, let's just say, right? But you only saw 5 starts for Invisalign that month. So what happened? Where in the journey did the patient drop off? What did they not like after they clicked on your ad?
You're saying tracking the complete patient journey from
click to production,
click to enrollment to the physical deployment of the dentistry, right? All the way through that life cycle, and then probably the retention of that patient inside, right? Making sure they're on a recurring sequence with you.
100%. We're seeing recently, I saw a survey saying that 24% of active patients are leaving the practice. And then here you are, right? The bottom of the bucket is leaking.
Totally. We talk about that all the time.
All you're trying to
say that practices, they walk around and it's the badge of honor that, I get X amount of new patients, right? And meanwhile, they're getting 100 new patients a month, but they're probably maybe becoming inactive or 103. So the net growth is really a -3. So our industry sometimes rewards the wrong metric, and it should be a net growth, because that net growth would obviously indicate you're high on the top of the funnel and you've closed the back door for people. You've got a retentive environment for people to want to stay, a sticky environment. So it's funny how we focus on metrics that sometimes don't really mean anything.
Oh, and then what happens is over the last 10 years, there's been just this abundance of this whole idea that, I need analytics, I need KPIs, and there's death by numbers right now. Right?
Yeah, metric dysphoria, I call it.
Paralysis. That's what I love about your platform. Greg, I know you haven't dug in yet, but I've looked at it, and it's delegatable to someone, right? I have someone in my office kind of managing the process, right? Because Craig, like to your point, this isn't something that you don't want to just after 8 hours of dentistry go and start digging in and be like, okay, what happened today? No one has the capacity. But I love that the user interface is very easy to understand where you succeeded and where you failed, and then just kind of closing that, working on closing that those points of quote unquote failure is very tangible. It's very real, and so we've made massive progress, and even just shoot, I don't know how long we've been, maybe 6 weeks with you, and so it's made a massive difference in our practice.
When we started this journey 7 years ago, it used to take us 3 hours to process this data after a phone call ended, because we needed all these human beings to kind of validate all the AI stuff and everything else. Today, we're the first company in all of healthcare that can provide this information in 45 seconds after the patient hangs up, and gives them this analysis that, hey, this is what happened. This is the reason the patient didn't book. This is what you could have done. And all this data is on their fingertips, on their Apple Watches, on their cell phones within 45 seconds. So that now, before the patient calls the next dentist or the next person, you have an opportunity to recover them and saying, hey, sir, you called us early, you wanted 2 implants, and we quoted you $10,000, but we forgot to give you information about financing we have available through multiple lenders. We can get a soft check to you in no time and get you pre-approved for 10 grand. It's going to be only $299 a month, and we want to make sure you take care of your teeth, because it could, you could.
It's like a second, Greg, you understanding that basically what the tech there, like the second chance, essentially, right? For you to re-enroll, and it becomes through as a patient benefited verbiage, right? Like, hey, we were just looking and we found this and we didn't offer. And it's a second at bat. What we always talk about at bats and kind of bulletproof and things like that. But it's a second at bat that is patient benefited. Wow, you cared to call back and give and really wanted to get me in treatment, right? It seems very authentic.
Well, also another layer of that authenticity is what we're selling is good for people. So that verbiage, when you make that outbound call, could be like, "Hey, we're concerned about this. We want to make sure it's been handled already." So even it looks like there's a halo effect on, like, we're just concerned about making sure you're getting your care done, not necessarily a sales call for like, come to us. Oh, you get it done, great, good job, that's awesome. But if you haven't, or you're still thinking about it, please consider giving us a try. So it with dentistry, a lot of dentists will remark like, "Well, I don't want to seem desperate. I don't want to like reach out back to them." No, you have an obligation to make sure they're getting their care done.
100%. I mean, I think Daniel Pink in To Sell is Human talks about selling is, if you're moving somebody from a worse spot to a better spot, and that selling is good selling, and you should not feel bad about that. I mean, if you're moving the patient to better health, then by all means, call me a salesperson, because I'm changing somebody's life. And
Right.
that's okay. That's okay to feel that way. Sometimes the word sales is kind of almost prohibited in healthcare. But we're not selling. We really are moving the patient forward in their journey to better health. And that's why I wake up in the morning every morning, that I know that 25% of the patients that we send alerts on are coming back. That's the statistic that the DSOs are successful with. They are able to recover 25% of the lost leads in the first attempt. On the second attempt,
Wow.
25%. So it could be anywhere between 3 to 8 new patients a month, depending on your volume, without having to spend any more money on marketing.
Craig,
So
so I
when
have someone
you install,
directly attributed to that job, right? The follow-up assassin, if you will,
yeah, of
that is
course.
just spectacular in conversion of the second chance. And that's and Amal's team has been training. The beautiful thing I love about Amal is you guys have really handheld us, even though, I thought we were buttoned up in suburban. You have a top tier team that's actually done a lot of training with us in the process of helping inside the software, yes, but also just like regular verbiage training and things of like psychology and things like that. It's been awesome.
I have another question for you. Are you learning? Or can you customize it such that when people ask about insurance, you can pick that language up and then look for no, we offer the in-house plan, so you can be aware of like, no, we don't take Aetna insurance, but they didn't mention that we have an in-house plan. Can you trigger for that, or are you learning and
It
evolving?
is it is it is one of our 14 variables that I was talking about earlier.
Okay,
Did
got it.
you did you mention discount and or financing plan?
Got it. Got it.
So if you
Got it.
didn't, then it's gonna flag it.
So Amal, how does your team think that when you install the cameras in the treatment plan rooms, how do you think that what's your plan for when you want to put microphones all over the entire office so you can monitor every conversation, including the one in the operatory and the treatment and the consultation room?
We
What's
were
the approach for
asked
that? Is that
we
through
were
Alexa?
asked
Like, how's that going?
we were asked that question. We thought it would
I'm
be we
kidding.
were asked that question. We have the capability of doing that
I
today.
know, I was joking. I'm sure
Um,
you do, but that would be even better.
It would be very intrusive, but it would be
Right.
very interesting. We have thought about the workflow. What would happen is, let's say we're trying to optimize hygiene conversations, and so the hygienist, you would have to have an interface within your practice management system, and then the hygienist would have to start as soon as she or he starts the stuff. They hit play, and or say, hey Alexa, or hey patient prism bot, whatever you want to call it, hey Judy, I'm starting my treatment, or whatever that might be. And then it starts recording the conversation, and then eventually when we have enough data, then you would see, oh, Judy, my hygienist, refers 80% of their is successful at sending 80% of her patients to restorative, but Mary though is only doing 30%, and they're spending equal amount of time with the patients. And now I have a data point, and here's some of the reasons what AI is saying, that is that we could just coach Mary on. Like, Mary,
Right.
there's a couple of things that you could do here that could be recommendations, and saying all you got to do is fix this, and then
It's a
boom.
training, right? Yeah,
I think that's where it's going eventually.
I agree.
uh, we're working on
and here's the cool thing, as opposed to, here's what I've noticed, Amol, and then we'll wrap. I want to kind of give people the how to get in touch with your software platform through BP. But here's what I loved about it, as opposed to it being, hey, I listened to your calls and these kind of things sucked about your call, which then gets Mary very upset because it's one human telling another human, versus data seems to be super not controversial, meaning it's just data. You can say it's just data. Well, here's what the AI found that was doing, and maybe we could work on this, right? And it removes some of the ego, removes some of the butthurt feelings of like, oh, you're doing it wrong from me to you. It's just like, here's the data, and data gets, not emotional.
It's very interesting, but part of it, I was in last week, I was talking about the AI in healthcare overall, and I was saying that we had to train our models to deliver non-threatening feedback.
Yes.
Number one, right? Non-threatening. We had to deliver feedback. We had to train our bots to be not racist. We had to train them to be not bigoted. They have to train them not to have preconceived ideas about what people will do. So all of this is new tech, part of what AI is supposed to be. And then this ChatGPT has kind of created this whole host of issues that are great, but at the same time, but our intention was, you're right. Sorry, our intention was always to enable team members to be better. And we
creating an empathetic model, just like kind of ChatGPT is kind of striving to do, right? I mean, it can come back and be, you have to train it to be not all those things you said, and almost kind of train it to be empathetic and kind of lead with that. So that's, yeah.
And we launched, I'll say one last quick thing. We launched this gamification feature for the team so that every time they did something positive, they got an award.
Yeah.
They win an award that they can share it in social media saying, I am the booking master. I am the kingpin of callbacks. I am
the highest enroller on the planet.
That's right. So cool. And we feel that we need to reward these people spontaneously for doing good things.
I think that's good. Everyone loves a gamification. All right. So here's the deal. We do not, as many of you guys listening, we do not endorse things. People don't get to come to our summits and sponsor unless Craig and I physically use them or can authentically say that like they are legit. I can authentically say this is legit. So I think Patient Prism is awesome. We have set up, like we always do, something to make it easy to give Bulletproof listeners a good deal. Amol has been kind enough. We have a landing page. Just go to bppatientprism.com. That's bppatientprism.com. No spaces or anything. And Amol, you've agreed. I don't know if you know this or not, but your team has agreed. Of course, you know.
It was this AI that agreed. So technically,
we've
been talking to his AI the whole time.
So it's a 90-day for BP listeners. It's a 90-day no obligation trial, and the setup fee has been waived through Amol. So, boom.
That's awesome.
That's right. We believe in our stuff. So yes.
Oh, good.
So 90 days, you plug it in, you try it out. If you like it, you start paying, or is that how it works?
Yeah.
I don't know what the details are of that stuff. But whatever we agreed to is what
I like that. All right.
Well, you know what that says to me, Craig? That says to me, it's like a crack dealer being like, hey, just try this, see if you like it, right? Yeah. And then they see, sorry, I'm not trying to draw the metaphor to an illegal drug to your product, but it's people will like it, therefore you can make a try this for a while.
We have a 10 times guarantee in our summit. What's the difference? We offer a 10 time money back guarantee. Same difference. I like it. Put your money where your mouth is. Just out of curiosity, is it per location, per office? Yes. How does the fee work?
Yes, it is. For until you're at 10 locations, then it's more enterprise pricing based on the number of minutes you pass through our system. But until then, it's per location. It's for if you do month to month, it's a little more expensive. It's about $374 a month. If you sign a year contract, it's $299 a month per location. Cool. That's where it is.
Honestly, I was thinking, I'm not just trying to say this for sensational. I was thinking of a lot more because it's super actionable. Think of how many of us are spending, quadruple that on advertising. It's like, it's better to do this.
That could be 6 ads. Could be 6 clicks on Google ad spend.
Well, right? It's better to stop your advertising, like learn what's going on, 100%. Stop your advertising, figure this out and then resume your advertising. Like
Reverse engineer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have if this. So I was thinking like, okay, this is probably like a full-time employee because that's really the productivity of it. I'm like, it's probably like $1,500, 2,000 a month, like that. In my mind, I really did think that. So that's
Wow.
awesome.
You didn't know.
It is
I
great.
did not know that. We signed up
are,
and we're paying, by the way. We are paying for it.
We're right. We are paying customers.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you didn't know. That's how like obtuse you are to the information.
No, it's how much I trust my team.
Oh, good. Touche, Craig.
All right. Well, at least I get to end with an insult. Can we wrap now so that I'm on a high note?
Amol, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's doing good things for dentistry, man. We always like to champion that. So thank you for what you're doing and bringing us the high tech stuff.
Thank you both. I mean, it's nice to be in the midst of superstars.
Oh man.
Oh wow. Very
God,
nice.
we're gonna have to bring you back. We needed more of
That's
that.
right.
Let's bring you back.
Well, let's extend the pod. Let's extend the pod. Amol, can you go in and no.
All-Star game. I get to play in the All-Star game, man. At least that's great.
That's
I mean,
Hey, listen, I'm just happy that the Patriot missiles of office management is coming to the ground troops like this. So let's bring the technology to everybody, and thank you for all the tireless work that you did when AI was just an unknown quantity. And I hope that you're riding the wave right now, and hopefully this helps because it's a powerful tool. It's like having 2 full-time people at our front desk listening to every freaking call. No one can do this.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, everybody. Amol, thanks again. Craig, we'll see you later. See you guys
Take
next
care,
time.
everybody.
Next Bulletproof.
Thank you.